Outrage is growing over the arrest of Prashant Kanojia, a Delhi-based freelance journalist who has now spent 2 days in a Lucknow jail for a tweet that he posted along with a video of a woman claiming that she had been video chatting with Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. The UP police has also arrested 2 others from a Noida-based channel, Nation Live. The owner, Ishika Singh, and editor, Anuj Shukla, were arrested for broadcasting the video, which Kanojia then tweeted with a comment of his own. The channel had held a panel discussion and ran the video of the interview of the woman who claimed that she had sent a marriage proposal to the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister. Now, why is this worrying? The arrests appear to be a clear misuse of the law. Why do we say that? Well, the Uttar Pradesh Police's FIR books Kanojia for defamation. Now, defamation requires that a magistrate takes note of the case before arrest. No permission was taken before Kanojia's arrest. He was also charged under Section 66 of the IT Act, which relates to destroying computer property. Now, this charge is particularly mystifying, as putting out a tweet cannot amount to destruction of computer property. Section 67 in the FIR against Kanojia relates to transmitting obscene material. Now, an interview with a woman, no matter how accurate or inaccurate her claims are, cannot be called obscene. There was also nothing obscene in Kanojia's comment, which was tweeted along with that video. The journalist was also charged under Section 505, spreading rumours with the intent to promote communal enmity, which of course begs the question, does criticizing a chief minister equate with promoting communal enmity? Well, let's take all of this across to our guests. Joining us tonight, M.K. Venu, founding editor of the Wire.in. Prashant Kanojia had in fact worked with that organization earlier. Sanjay Hegde, senior advocate of the Supreme Court, is with us. We expect to be joined by Mamta Kale from the BJP in a short while from now. Revati Lal, senior journalist and author, my former NDTV colleague, is with us, and she has been tweeting about this case and has very strong opinions on the matter as well. Shantanu Gupta, author and columnist, is also with us. But Sanjay Hegde, let me begin with you, because clearly there are legal questions that are now being raised. There's been a very strong statement also from the Editors Guild of India and other press bodies, which are all raising questions about the legality of the move to arrest the 3. Now, why, in your opinion, is this particularly contentious?
Well, the point is that arrest is not necessary at all. In any event, the power to arrest does not exist in the police insofar as a non-cognizable case is concerned.
Right.
Defamation is where somebody files a complaint in the magistrate's court. The magistrate then takes cognizance, and normally bail is granted at on the same day. You must remember that, like when M.J. Akbar took Priya Ramani to court in a criminal defamation, the magistrate granted her bail, and the matter is continuing. So, what is it that prompts the UP police, in the absence of a complaint by Mr. Bisht, the Chief Minister of UP, or anybody on his behalf, to come to Delhi and pick up somebody for putting out a tweet of a video of a woman on camera who said that she had talked to Mr. Bisht, and whatever the details of the conversation was. Now, as Chief Minister of a state, what the person does, even in a private capacity, is certainly newsworthy. Why was a lot of people have also tweeted that interview? Why, of all people, was Mr. Kanojia chosen for the singular honor of being picked up by the UP police? Why was a small obscure channel in Noida also chosen for that honor? Basically, the UP police is sending out a message. We are going after the small people first, and then we can come after you. Now, just think of it, Ankita. There are 29 states in India, 29 chief ministers,
yes.
29 governors. Now, each time somebody tweets something about any of these people,
so you're saying Uttar Pradesh,
their police to land up in the nation's
okay,
capital,
so you're saying
and just pick up somebody.
Okay. So Uttar Pradesh clearly setting a precedent, perhaps a rather alarming precedent here. Revati Lal, you know, the point that Sanjay Hegde is making about independent journalists, about smaller journalists, why pick on this one man who is now not working part of the Wire as he was earlier, but is now on his own, or a small channel that is based in Noida? Do you think that these arrests send out a larger message?
They absolutely do. I agree with Sanjay Hegde completely on this. And the reason why someone who's a freelancer, no longer working with a big media establishment or a middling media establishment, has been picked is part of a larger pattern that we've seen even during the previous 5 years of the same government, where people who have suffered, people who've been killed, people who've been silenced, have been people who do not have the protective mechanisms in place that people like you and me might have access to. I, of course, am also a freelance journalist. But I think that when we look at the number of people who are more vulnerable, and if we were to ever have a vulnerability index, and I think it's time that we sat together and made one of the things we will probably find is that people who do not have much money, people who do not speak English, and therefore do not have the corridors of what the BJP likes to call Lutyens Delhi, but which they now represent, open to them, people who do not have immediate access to lawyers are much more vulnerable, and therefore can be used to set an example and allow fear to ricochet much more across the board to silence others like you and me, or people working in establishments who say, I cannot even afford to critique this government for what is valid, which means that I cannot do my job as a journalist, because our job is to critique
I want Shantanu Gupta to respond to that. Shantanu Gupta, why single out these 3 journalists in this specific case? Was there a larger design in that? None of the sections in the FIR against Prashant Kanojia seem to add up to the offences that he may or may not have committed by tweeting this video. You have to concede that there are questions here that are really not being answered.
Ankita, first of all, my apologies. I have not accessed the FIR till now. But whatever I heard from your debate or whatever I was able to research, see, first of all, he's a chief minister of a state. He's a very, very popular person, whole of India. Maligning about a very popular person can easily read to writing in any state, right? And Mr. Hegde doesn't even know there's no one called Mr. Ajay Singh Best. I am his biographer. His name is Yogi Adityanath. In the Indian sannyas tradition, once you take sannyas, your name, your previous family is no more, right? Is considered. So Yogi Adityanath, if you tweet something against that he's married, it may lead to a lot of consequences. And I'll read the tweet done by this person. Kanojia claims that he was a student in IMC. That is also wrong. The director of IMC just tweeted that he was rusticated from IMC for hate speech, for disrespect, for a lot of misconduct. So we are not talking about some Mahatma Gandhi. He was rusticated from an institute, and his director is telling he is a hate monger.
But Shantanu Gupta, being rusticated or suspended from an institute surely does not then put a bar on freedom of speech or expression.
No, it does not. It does not. See, spreading fake news, which can lead to confusion, law and order situation in any state as sensitive as UP. That leads to arrest. But
M.K. Venu, do you believe that this particular point that Shantanu Gupta is making has any substance? One particular charge in that FIR relates to inciting communal enmity, and Mr. Gupta seems to think that because he was tweeting something about the Chief Minister, that would inflame passions, and therefore that charge at least stands. Today, the Editors Guild of India also coming out with a particularly strong statement about this.
See, Ankita, the Editors Guild has issued the strongest statement in the last, say, 5.5 years. We have seen criminal defamation being used by various, by corporates and coming from various quarters to harass the media. But so far, people followed the law, which is in criminal defamation. You file an FIR, the complainant, the person who has been hurt files an FIR. In this case, a clear violation of law, which the Editors Guild has mentioned. Editors Guild has said it's an authoritarian misuse of law. Exact terms I'm using. So what has happened here, Ankita, is that the police has suo moto gone and arrested him when it is not a cognizable offence. So we are talking about the sheer abuse of law here. Why didn't Mr. Yogi Adityanath file a proper FIR? let it be examined. Let his statement be examined, and
Yes.
let his lawyers represent.
Okay.
I think
that's a fair point you're making. Sanjay Hegde, comment on the legality of this, because this is a point that the Editors Guild of India is now highlighting, that in a case of defamation, of course, every individual has a legal right to recourse. Should Chief Minister Adityanath have pursued that legal right? Here you have the police taking suo motu notice of this and filing their own FIR. So the person concerned, in fact, hasn't even filed an FIR in this case.
Absolutely. Now, if the police start getting into every non-cognizable offence without being moved, then the system of law and the administration of justice will just not work.
There's no law there,
Any point of time, they say that okay, so and so is being defamed. We take it upon ourselves to go wherever, Delhi, Assam. We'll pick the person up and drag him to a UP court. That is not how things work. I gave you the example of the MJ Akbar case. There are criminal defamation is always personal. Either the person concerned has to initiate it, or if the person is dead, somebody among his legal heirs and representatives. Nobody else has any business in what is said about a third person. The police is a third person in this entire enterprise. Now, the other thing is, did Mr. Kanojia commit defamation? He has retweeted what the lady concerned has put out in a video interview. Have you taken action against the lady? Because primary defamation, if any, is the lady concerned. If a journalist
so why, in
reports
your
that such and
opinion,
such a
Sanjay
lady
Hegde,
says
has
such and
that
such a
not
thing
happened?
About the chief minister, then I don't know. You have to ask the UP police. The
And
UP
Ankita,
police is being subjective, and knowing the way that police operate in this country, I am very sure that some high official must have been told by the Home Minister of the state or by the Chief Minister, just take care of this.
Now,
Then the
Ankita,
police
another point.
has simply
Yes,
gone into
MK Venu
overkill.
and Revati.
They are now trying to justify what they have done.
Okay.
Ankita, just one more point.
Yeah.
First of all, it's not defamatory on the face of it. The correct law has not been followed. Even assuming it was defamatory, the platform uses Twitter. Have they sent a notice to Twitter? Why are they penalizing a journalist who, who believing the story has retweeted it, right? You have to, in defamation, you also have to prove that it was done with malified motives.
Intent.
That is also very important in law,
So, Revati, would you say that this then sort of bears out your earlier statement about going after, quote unquote, the small fry, the independent journalist, somebody who doesn't have recourse necessarily, to respond to something like this?
There's a larger point that actually is much more worrying than just going after independent journalists to let fear ricochet outwards. And that is this whole thing of us having, purportedly the state keeps imagining that all of us in the Republic of India have such thin skins that we get offended and we'll go out and incite violence, and they use that as preventive detention at the drop of a hat. Does that mean that the state has no faith in its people, and that it is not able, and it is abdicating its responsibility to maintain law and order, and also saying we don't have trust in people? We think that at the drop of a hat they'll get offended, and to prevent being offended. This thing of preventing being offended is where our institutions are failing and breaking. And now that we know that this has been in play for the last 5 years, now the next foreseeable future, we as journalists have to also move beyond just discussing the problem and into areas of Gauri Lankesh was killed. How have we structurally changed? We are dependent for our finances on corporates that are in bed with the government that is using fear to drive us and drive those corporates into a popularity contest of who publicizes the government and doesn't criticize the government. How do you get out of that? We have to start having conversations about alternative financing and telling people out there that if you really want a free and fair media, then there have got to be other ways of financing it. We've got to look at these structural reforms ourselves, otherwise we'll keep having the same discussion and going round and round the prickly pear.
Okay, absolutely. Fair enough. Shantanu Gupta, do you want to comment on that?
See, first of all, there is absolutely no relation between Gauri Lankesh murder and this case. If someone was to try their fancy, they can do that. See, first of all, everybody who is saying,
we're not talking literally, of course,
anybody who is saying that police is arresting on a drop of a hat, they don't, I think they never traveled to UP or they don't understand the social fabric of UP. In UP, rights do happen in the drop of the hat. And if you take the reason of a right in last 20 rights, you will not find a very profound reason, right? Reasons are...
I think that is defamatory of UP.
So,
and for the state to say that because riots happen,
don't get frustrated, Mr. Hegde. If you come up, 5 people will not come.
But Shantanu Gupta,
5 lakh people
for
come
dictatorship.
There. Don't get frustrated, Mr. Hegde. If you stand at a place, 5 people will not come. If Yogi stands at a place, 5 lakh people will come. He's a very popular chief minister.
But Shantanu Gupta, what are the broader legal implications?
If you're such a big lawyer, go and stand for Mr. Kanojia. Why are you wasting time in studio? Go and stand for Mr.
Okay,
Kanojia.
but when you arrest someone for a tweet, what are the broader legal implications of that? Isn't that just, isn't that an attack then, not just on the freedom of the press? Shantanu Gupta, let me finish. Are you not only impinging on the freedom of the press, but also the freedom of expression of every social media user?
If your understanding, Ankita, is that Twitter is a small tool, I can only.
No, it's not a question of a small tool.
From Barack Obama to US President to Japanese President to Israel President, they all are communicating their tweet. Tweet is a very important tool.
So why don't you send a notice to Twitter? That's what I'm asking. Please send a notice to Twitter.
See, we are only second guessing based on a FIR. We don't even know what all UP police is doing. You should have called someone from UP police. They will be
as we did, and of course the UP police refused to be a part of this discussion.
Case, they called the DGP of
But Shantanu is standing in for them perfectly, seemingly, isn't he? He's pushing their argument forward, so we actually don't need the UP police here. He's doing he's advocating their cause.
All right, Revati Lal, I'm going to have to wrap this up, but very quick last comments. If there was one message that we now really need to communicate as members of the press, as journalists, as editors tonight, what does that need to be?
Ankita, I would say, single message, the defamation law has to be decriminalized. There is enough, civil defamation law is good enough for, for any legal remedy. We are among the only few countries, even African countries have done away with it. The countries from where we've received our laws, they have done away with it. But our political class somehow wants to continue with with criminal defamation. I think we just have to throw it out of the statute.
All right, we hope.
Well, I would say that what we need to do is to think of alternative ways to finance ourselves so that we are truly independent, can remain truly independent even under hostile circumstances, which these seem to be.
All right, we leave it at that tonight. Thank you all very much for joining us on this discussion. We're going to take a very quick break. All the other news of the day when we return in just a moment.